Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the online English classes. Students, today we are going to discuss the question answers of chapter 3rd of our book Snapshot, Ranga's Marriage. We discussed the chapter yesterday. I hope the chapter is clear to all of you. So let's go on to discuss the question answers. Firstly, we will discuss the textual questions, and after that we are also going to discuss a few extra questions. So let's go on. First of all, our first textual question is: comment on the influence of English, the language and the way of life on Indian life as reflected in the story. So what is the narrator's attitude to English? So, of course, the narrator says that during the last 10 years, English language has made inroads into Indian countryside. So, now there are many people who know English. So they bring in English words even while talking in Kannada. So the narrator considers it disgraceful. He illustrates his point of view by giving an example that one day when a bundle of firewood was bought at Ramarao's house, so his son asked the women how much he should give her, and the women replied that 4 paise. So the boy told her that he didn't have any change and asked her to come the next day. But unfortunately, the poor woman didn't understand the English word change and went away muttering to herself. Thus, the use of English language before a native Kannada speaker caused confusion, and Ranga was influenced by the English way of life. Like them, he wanted to marry a mature girl. He didn't believe in arranged marriages, so he told the narrator that he would marry when he grew a bit older. And secondly, he wanted to marry a girl he admired. He was not in favor of arranged marriages, of course. So this shows the influence of English way of life on modern young educated Indians like Ranga, and the narrator didn't approve of it. So this is the first question. Second question is: astrologers' perceptions are based more upon hearsay and conjecture than what they learn from the study of the stars. Comment with reference to the story. Of course, hearsay means rumors, and conjecture is any opinion based upon incomplete information. So this story presents astrologers in an unfavorable light. Of course, in the chapter itself, the Shastriji or astrologer said what he tutored by the narrator. The author seems to be having a dig at them through the words of the narrator. So the story gives a graphic description of how the narrator employs the astrologer to trick an unwilling young man to marry a young girl. So he tutors him in all that he wants him to say. And the narrator took Ranga to the astrologer. The Shastriji took out his paraphernalia, which means all the equipments used for a particular purpose. So these included 2 sheets of paper, some cowries, and a book of palmyra leaves. So, and after taking all these things, he made some calculations and asked Ranga that he's thinking about a girl. She had the name of something found in the ocean. He assured Ranga that their negotiations would definitely bear fruit, and Ranga was very impressed by the science of astrology at that time. And that evening, the narrator congratulated Shastri for repeated everything he had taught, and also he mocked astrology by saying what a marvelous shastras yours is. And on this, Shastri didn't like it and said that he could have found it out himself from his shastra. So this shows that the astrologer's perceptions are more based upon hearsay and conjecture than what they learn from the study of the stars. Next is: Indian society has moved a long way from the way the marriage is arranged in the story discussed. So, of course, in the modern lifestyle, marriages are not arranged in that way. In that way, which has been arranged in the story. So, in the past, marriages in India were usually arranged by parents or relatives. The story Ranga's marriage shows that how the narrator arranges Ranga's marriage with the help of the astrologer. But after independence, certain changes have come in the lifestyle of Indian society. Women empowerment has made women men's comrades and equals, not a mere prisoner confined within the four walls. So, women education and access to jobs has changed the attitude of modern males towards women. A girl is now accepted as a partner in marriage for her worth or qualities rather than the dowry. Marriageable young boys and girls have now more say in the choice of the partners. So early marriages have been banned now. The minimum age for marriage for a girl is 18 and for a boy is 21. By this time, they or boys and girls attain physical, emotional, and mental maturity, and Indian society has certainly moved a long way from the time of arranged marriages when the formal consent of the bride or bridegroom was taken for granted and the elders fixed everything. So, of course, Indian society has moved a long way from the system. The marriage has been arranged in the story. Now the people no more believe in the arranged marriages. Always the young boys and girls choose their own life partners. So next question is, what kind of a person do you think the narrator is? So of course the narrator Shama is dark in color and calls himself a dark piece of oil cake because his complexion was dark. He's an elderly young man. He's keen observer of men and manners. He notices the influence of English and the way of life on Indian society. He's a purist who is pained at the indiscriminate use of English words in Kannada conversation. So he considers it disgraceful. He didn't approve of it. He didn't approve of the English custom of marriage, love marriage either. He is a well meaning gentleman who has the good of others in his heart. He learns of Ranga's views about marriage from Ranga himself. He is a good judge of human character. And after that, he thinks that Ranga would make a good husband. The narrator is a good strategist. He cleverly calls Ranga to his home when Ratna is singing a song, and he notices Ranga's reactions and interest in her and arouses his curiosity by arranging a marriage with the astrologer. So, firstly, he says that Ratna is married, but when he finds Ranga deeply interested in her, he confesses that he was wrongly informed. In short, the narrator tries his utmost to get the marriage settled. And after that, the narrator loves fun and humor also. He has the capacity to make others laugh at him. So, also, he employs a rambling style and gives many similes and metaphors to heighten the literary color of the story. So, the touches of local color makes a story full of ethnic color and authentic. So, what is a rambling style? That means talking. Move out of the way. For example, if you are talking about something, leaving that part, move away to some another thing, that is the rambling effect. And in between, the narrator also used humor and fun also to create a rambling effect in the story. So these all are the textual questions. Go through it. So there are few extra questions discussed also. What reason does the narrator give for calling his narration? At the very first of the story, it has been written that in which the narrator said that in the beginning of the narration, he said that he could have given a more mouth-filling name instead of this common name to the story rather than calling it Ranga's marriage. For example, Ranganatha Vivaha or Ranganatha Vijaya. But the story is about someone he is close to, his Rangapa, about his Rangapa or Ranga, who was born and brought up in his beloved village Hosahali. So it is indeed the story of his wedding. So that's why he has kept the common name, because it is the story of his own Ranga. So next, the marriage word marriage gives a personal touch to the story to reminisce the Western influence which Ranga went under when he was sent to Bangalore for studying. Next is, what does the narrator say about the Indians aping the West? So of course we discussed in the textual question also that what is the effect of the English way of life on Indian society. And according to the narrator, the English language, which was earlier not prevalent in his small humble village, has now become a priceless commodity that everyone wants to behold now. He's not very happy about the fact that these English speaking people defiling their mother tongue and bring foreign words into in the daily life communication. He is also disappointed at the fact that Indian geographers, instead of correcting the mistake of English sahibs who didn't bother to put their beloved village on any map, they are blindly following their so-called greatness. So Ranga and Ratna were both very fond, it's fond not find, fond of narrator justify. Of course, they both were very fond of narrator because the narrator arranged the marriage of the both, and they also the narrator is responsible for the pairing of Ranga and Ratna, who culminated into their marriage. So they were very fond and grateful to him, and thus had named their first child after him. So, what kind of bride was Ranga looking for? Of course, he had different views about marriage at that time when he came back after study from Bangalore. So at that time he wanted to marry a mature girl. He didn't believe in arranged marriages. So he wanted to marry a mature girl who was mature enough to comprehend his words and not misunderstand them. He even gave the example of Kalidasa play where Dushyanta fell in love with Shakuntala, who was very mature, and thus making him convinced that he could only marry a girl he could admire. So these are the views of Ranga about marriage. So explain the statement. The fellow said that he would leave but he didn't move. Of course, when Ranga saw Ratna singing a song, he was very much impressed and peeped inside that what who is singing a song. And after looking at Ratna, after seeing Ratna, he was very much uh, impressed by Ratna. And after that, he said that Ratna was uncomfortable to sing in Ranga's presence, so Ranga offered to leave, but Ranga was too enamored by her that he didn't move. So, this is the statement. He said that he will leave, but he didn't move. So, this is the statement made by Ranga at that time when he saw Ratna singing a song. Explain there is a greater truth in Shastra what than we imagine. Ranga saw that Shastri could accurately predict the reason behind his sore heart, that as a girl, no other than the lovely Ratna, Ranga was convinced that Shastra has great knowledge hidden in them which could solve all the mysteries. So, few long answer type questions. The narrator plays a glowing tribute to his village Hosahali. What does he say? Of course, in the chapter itself, he admired the beauty of the village. He explains his great dismay that how the English Sahibs have ignored this small village. So the narrator is annoyed at the arrogance of the cartographers also as to ignore the existence of a full village. But he doesn't brood over it. So the narrator is smitten with the beauty and glory of his village, and in order to justify his glorification, he says that there is a doctor named as Gunda Bhatta who had been to many places yet agrees with the narrator's view. Also, he described the specialities of village or raw mango so that it can't be eaten whole, the fine pristine water of the village pond, the creeper growing in it, which has beautiful flowers, and the leaves with which one can have his lunch served. Of course, if you all know that earlier people used to serve the food in on banana leaves also. So all these things have been used to describe the speciality of the village, and the narrator, aware of his digression, switches the topic, saying that if the readers wanted to visit the village, they should just contact him. The tone of the narrator is humble and simple in first person narrative, and it is almost as if someone is having a conversation with the reader. So he described the beauty of the village, beauty and glory of the village in the chapter also. So discuss the reaction of the people towards Ranga. Of course, when they saw Ranga was the first person to be sent to Bangalore to study in a English medium school, and when he came back, everybody wanted to say uh, Ranga. But when the people noticed that Ranga has not undergone any physical change, he has not developed or turned into English speaking arrogant Sahib. So everybody was surprised that Ranga was the same as before and had not undergone any change. And after that, after realizing this, everybody left. And after realizing that Ranga was same as he was 6 months ago, everybody lost interest and left. And this question, astrologers' perceptions are both more based upon hearsay and conjecture than what they learn from the study of the stars. Comment with the reference of the story we discussed already in the textual questions. Next is Indian society has moved a long way from the way marriage is arranged in the story. This also we discussed. So please read out the answers. Whichever answer you find the best, please write that only, and write the textual questions on the notebook. And for the short answer type question, extra questions, you have the choice to write it on the notebook, but you must be able to answer each and every question, whether it is a textual question or a extra question. So thank you so much, students. This is all about the question answers.